This conference will now be recorded.
Hello. So today we'll start database testing session, and you will continue with lab session afterwards for test case design, how to write test cases, how to write scenarios on real-time examples. So let's get started. I guess everyone joined so far or joining. Okay, so database test. So I was explaining yesterday or other day about two-tier architecture, three-tier architecture, n-tier architecture, right? Which is also known as client-server architecture. So let's talk about that first. So when I say client-server architecture, there are many clients and one server. So it's a centralized environment. So it will look like this. Let me show the diagram. So that I guess I have drawn the diagram. Let's see. Testing diagrams. Probably this should be it. Yeah. So client server architecture, three-tier architecture, which is also known as, has many clients. Client number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is a client 1. Let's say C1 and C2. C4, right? All are this is can you see the screen? It's going blank. Okay, now we can see. So C4, right? So all of these are connecting to the web server actually. So from here you can, so instead of like this, so in this, the front end is a client. So basically your client is nothing but a browser. So these are all browsers, right? How do I draw this? Or front end, right? So the server, which also has database, right, might be like SQL server or Oracle or DB2, anything. So the developer can use anything such as, let me write over here, SQL server or Oracle or DB2. Okay, so these are different organizations. Microsoft as SQL server, Oracle is Oracle, and DB2 belongs to IBM. So different software databases. So it depends how they use it, and the front end is based on anything Java or .NET or whichever. So according to the client's requirements, again, it is developed in Java, .NET, VB, C Sharp, etc. or PHP. Okay, so on this client server model, the server system is used to store the data. So which is like database stores the data. This is, so this whole thing is a server system which has both web server and database, where the database used to store the data. So to perform this task of storing data, we use databases such as IBM DB2, Oracle, or Microsoft SQL Server. So let me note it down. So databases such as SQL Server, Oracle, or DB2 are used to store data. So in order to access as well as insert and modify, delete data, each client system will be provided with an application program, and they can be developed based on the different technologies. For example, Java, .NET, VB, or C Sharp or PHP. So it doesn't directly insert the data into database, but the data, how to store the data, when to store the data, where to store the data, all these instructions come from Java or .NET. So they have to explicitly instruct, hey, go and upon the successful registration, go and insert a record into so and so table in the database. So it's always based on the developer instructs from code when to insert, modify, update. Modify is delete or drop, okay, data from table or tables. Okay, so in database, so it always from the either from Java coding or the PHP coding or whatever coding they will use, they will instruct. So accordingly, based on some front end activity, the database modifications occur. Now, in order to go deep into this, let's know about RDBMS. Everybody must have known about RDBMS, right? DBMS and RDBMS. So RDBMS is it's nothing but DBMS along with the relations, right? In olden days, we used to have DBMS only. For example, Microsoft Access is a DBMS, which doesn't have relations. Whereas later on, we inserted relations with the DBMS, and that is later known as RDBMS, Relational Database Management Systems.
Hello. Hello, Sangam.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Asad.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, today's class will be till 12, okay? Then Russell will take a lab class, all right?
Yeah. So that means for me it's 11
It's
o'clock. I will have.
11 o'clock, yeah. So, after that, Russell will arrive, so please hand over the session to him. So,
Okay,
Russell is already there.
right.
Oh,
And yeah, I will do that. And Asad, can you share the recording?
yes, yes,
Video?
I'm uploading them.
Okay. And you can put it on the G drive and share the link. Yeah, I will end in right now. It's 9:48 for me. So
Just keep
10.
the session like that and make
Oh,
presenter, when Russell arrives, make him the presenter.
okay.
Okay.
So he will show the test case design lab session, right? Test
Yeah,
case.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. One question. I mean, today I'm starting database. So will he be able to show on next Sunday the database SQL developer Oracle if he has installed already? Lab session for.
That will discuss after the class along with Russell and you, okay? For the next
No, I'm
Sunday.
asking. I can take, but if he's able to take, that's okay. I can take. I can show it on my system also. I mean, not today. Today will be theory.
All right, all right.
So I will be showing database and web services in the sense it's SoapUI
Okay.
and REST API using Postman and we will see out. Then I'll start the Java and go to the Selenium. That's my plan. I'm just giving you a heads up.
Okay. Maybe after the class, please go ahead. But after the class, we'll have a chat. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Okay, so RDBMS is also known as Relational Database Management Systems, right? Okay, so what it does in this case, data will be stored and retrieved from tables. That's what this does, RDBMS. So storage and retrieval. That's all. Storage in the sense insert, modification, deletion, all these things occur. So data will be stored and retrieved from tables. So that is the main purpose of using RDBMS. All right. Now, what are the advantages with RDBMS? I mean, compared to DBMS. So there are a couple of advantages, which is like not just one system can store or retrieve data, but multi-systems can store and retrieve the data. Okay, so it's kind of multitasking. So advantages are multi-user system can access and comparing to DBMS, RDBMS has more security. Security is provided to the table data. So otherwise anybody can hack into database and steal the information, right? So RDBMS is better compared to DBMS. So RDBMS means all these Oracle SQL Server DB2 come under RDBMS, whereas DBMS database management systems. So example will be MS Access. So simple, you can create database tables also, right, in Microsoft Office. So that will be DBMS. Okay, there are many such, not just or SQL Server, Oracle, right? DB2 and Sybase and Ingress, MySQL. MySQL is open source, so you can actually download this. Anyone, I will recommend everyone to download this and install it so that we can practice SQL queries in the next session. I don't have it installed right now, so we will do it next. All right, so these are the advantages. Multi-user system, security is provided. Okay, so we will use MySQL or SQL Server. SQL Server also you can install. So I would recommend either of these. All right. Oracle DB2 are big ones, so you can install if you want to. They also come with the trial versions, so it's up to you. Okay. So this database software, whichever you install, is developed by, if you install SQL Server, it's developed by Microsoft. If you install Oracle, it's developed by Oracle. If you install DB2, it's developed by IBM systems. So any of these are portable, compatible with all operating systems, including Windows. So when you install, you can choose the operating system likewise. And there are versions, so always choose the latest version. The older versions will not be compatible. I think it's 12 or something, SQL Server. So choose the latest version. Now, the main purpose of using this database is to creating and working with the data, right? That is the main purpose. And how do you send notifications to client? That's taken care from the code, Java code or .NET code, and transforming any source of data into SQL data. That is done from the Java or any other programming language. And replication, copying, multiplying the data, that is also done in the database. So you can also create views and other stuff. So that will be an analysis. Okay, so mainly that analysis is done in the different aspect, which is also known as data warehousing. And finally, reporting is a important aspect. So that will be in terms of developer creates a reports and or DBA creates a report. So we are not going to those details. We are just concerned about the testing side, database testing. So why we have to do this? Because even in manual testing, the database interactions are done, right? So after doing the front end activities, you log into application register and so, you still have to log into database and check whether the record is there or not, or record is updated or not. So hence there is a significance of performing the database testing. So manually as well as automation wise. So if you're automating, we'll talk about how to automate the database interactions in that session using Java. But in manual, you need to know mainly how to write simple SQL queries, right? That's main target of this session. Okay. So I can specify all of this. Database engine services is to create and work with data, the main goals, and notification services and integration services. and replication services, and then analysis, and finally reporting. So these are the main achievable goals. Okay, so if any of you is aware of database SQL queries already, then you would know, first of all, after installation you have to create a user ID password. First and foremost thing is to establish the connection, right? So establish the connection to database using username and password, right? Now once you use your credentials, you log into the account, and you will, if you are the administrator, you will get the admin's permission, and you can give the other users different permissions based on their activities. If they are testers, the DB will give them. So we will just take the whatever access. Sometimes the testers only will get the access privileges. That means they cannot modify or delete database, because it's very dangerous if you delete the database tables or raw. So testing wise, they will only give access permission. That means you can only run a select query and retrieve the data. But sometimes you need to be able to update the data also from manually or automation wise. So then you can request the particular privilege from the DBA, and he would give you temporarily or permanently. That's however, the developer will have full access, because he is the one who is going to do these front end to database activities from debugging perspective and actually unit testing perspective. So he will be having full access, and database guys will have full access anyway. So only the testing team will have partial access. So you need to go accordingly. Okay. Now, what is a database? Anybody? How do you define a database? So a database is an object which specifies a location where the data will be stored. That's all. Simple sentence. I think it's going blank. Okay. Oh, let me close. Oh, wait is blank. Okay. Okay. Let's give it a minute. Let me close the browser at least.
Hello, please everyone stay on the class. Sangam's system is restarting, so he'll be back within a minute or two.
Oh, my system just restarted. So let me open. Okay, so what is database? What is database? Database is nothing but a object which specifies a location where the data will be stored. Okay, so that's the definition of the database. So you can give simple definition, or there are many definitions you can give. So any database you take, SQL Server or DB2 or Oracle, so they provide two types of databases. One is system databases and one is the user defined databases, which also known as user databases, right? System comes up with database, its own databases, which are known as system databases. And second one is user defined database, which actually are created by the developer or DBA. So we are not going to discuss about the system databases. I mean, briefly I'll tell, but mainly the user defined databases, like how to create a database table, how to insert a record into it, how to update it, how to delete it. All these things will be done from the user databases perspective. So system databases will be loaded automatically along with the database you start installation. After installation, DB2 or SQL Server or Oracle, and they will contain system level information, and these can be used to perform system level operations. So there is nothing much about knowing system databases. These will be loaded automatically. System DB will be loaded automatically after installation, and they have system level information and performs system level operations. 1 second. Let me delete something. It's going blank every time. Let me just quickly see. I think this is taking a lot of. This system has very less resources, so it's 150 MB. And delete some temporary files so that. Yeah. Okay, these are not much. Yeah, that's fine. I'll have to uninstall. Okay, let it delete some files automatically. It will be okay. Okay, so mainly we'll be dealing with the user-defined databases. So these type of databases are created by the user. Hence, they are called user-defined databases. So created by user. So user in the sense developer, right? Java developer or DBA, whoever creates. So, and to access these databases, you must get corresponding permission or authorization from the administrator, like I said. Okay, so how do you create databases? We can use either some navigation explorer, database explorer, or also you can create it from command prompt. So both are available in Oracle. Also you can use command prompt. In SQL Server we'll use mostly the explorer, SQL developer, and in that we can write command to create databases, insert databases. So I'll show you how later. So what all you need for creating a database, the name of the database is important, and details of the data, right? So these two things are important. You give the name of the database, and the database resides in a schema, and you also give the details like what to insert in the table, what table and what tables, what are the columns, what are the columns data types, and what are the how the data will reside, any validations required like not null check, uniqueness. All these things will be coming under the details of the data. So these two things are important as whenever the developer is creating the data. Okay, now these are operating system files which will be used to store actual data in the database. Based on the type of data, we have to store the data in different files. So there will be like three types of files, data files, which are known as primary data file, secondary data file, and transaction log file. So primary data file is like master data file, which is whose extension is .mdf, and secondary data file is new data file whose extension is .ndf, and transaction log file is .ldf. So these are from the DBA perspective. So I'm just giving you information, so don't worry if you don't remember it. Okay, so primary data file, this primary data file is used to store the actual data of the database in the tables and all other objects, and every database must contain the primary data file. So, and secondary data file are optional files. These are not mandatory, and these can be created in the primary file, and if file becomes too lengthy, too large. And the secondary data files also contain similar types of data as in the primary data files. So, and finally log file is used to store the details of the operations. So whenever the creation, insertion, updation, modification, deletion occurs, so these will store the logs, like what is the detail of the log, what time this occurred, just like we use logs for automation and developer use logs for using the log4j. and that will be done by log file. Okay, and every database must contain the log file. Primary data file is mandatory, secondary data file is optional, but log file is mandatory, and it is mainly used to for recovering the database in case something goes wrong, which is a part of backup and recovery. So the backup and restore is a different concept though. So a database is a combination of these data files ultimately. So our definition is database is an object which specifies a location where data will be stored, but ultimately any database is a combination of these three files, and its database size will be calculated by adding all these file sizes. That's just like you calculate the size of any file, any other file. Likewise, the database size will be based on these three files size. That's it. And whenever you perform the operation, the results of those operation will be affecting these files, primary, or if at all use secondary, and the log file. So every database will contain these three: .mdf, .ndf, and .ldf. So for example, .mdf file size is 20 MB and .ndf is 10 MB. Just an example, LDF is 10 MB. Overall database size will be 40 MB. So now how to create a database using any database like SQL Server or DB2 software.
Create table name, and then field and record to, and then wait.
So somebody spoke, I could barely hear. Can you say that again?
Just create a command, create table and table name, and then the field name and record to, and then how many. Yeah.
Right. So in creating a database, what you do, you open the database, right? And you write some query. So which is also known as structured query language, SQL. So what is SQL? SQL is structured query language, and this language is used to write the queries. So this language contains some set of standards that are to be followed by all databases. That means all SQL commands should be executable in all the databases if at all they are used written in the structured query language. So there are PL SQL and SQL. So PL SQL basically to run the programmable, the whole set of structured query languages put together and executed together. Okay, so that is known as programmable language, PL SQL, but we are not concerned about this. We'll just run simple SQL queries that actually run from a manual testing or automation testing. So there are 4 types of structured query language. One is called DDL. DDL is data definition language. Okay, and I'll come to that. What is DDL? If everybody knows, then that's fine. DML is data manipulation language, and TCL, which is not very much used by the developer testers, only by the developers. So these are called as transaction control language. And finally, DCL. DCL is known as data control language. Okay, so mostly we will be using DML, not even DDL, but DDL is just to create. So what are the different commands that are used in DDL, data definition language? Create, alter, drop, truncate. These are the commands used. So obviously we are not going to create tables from the manual testing perspective. That is not our job, but we will see. So mainly we will be using as a tester. I'll just put a star mark here. This is very important. This is also important, but very important is DML. So in the DML, we will use anybody? Select. That is the main. How to retrieve the data.
Insert, update, delete.
Correct. Insert, update, delete. This is the main. Delete also I won't say. You're not supposed to delete. So mainly select and update. But in some cases insert. If this test case demands, you can do that. And if TCL, if anybody is expert in databases, I mean TCL is used after each run of the update commands are create. So
commit and rollback.
You have to commit, right? So otherwise the data will not be committed. If you update, you have to commit. If you create, you have to commit. And if you want to roll back to the previous version of the database, you can roll back. And data control language is mainly used by DBA to grant the
permission
and revoke permission, right? So don't worry about these three, only worry about the DML, data manipulation language is the only one. So all these TCL, DCL are used by the DBA. So these are the DBA activities, and tester is only concerned with DML, not even DDL. So that's why I put it a star mark. So this is tester. Okay. Now let's see how to create a database, which is a DDL, right? DDL create database. So syntax will be like this. Syntax means it's just a format, the structure, mold. How do you write it? It will tell you. Then you can customize it. It's basically like telling, okay, you put these values in these. So you use create keyword and database keyword and mention the database name. Okay. So whatever is in the angular brackets, that is that's where you put the actual database name. For example, registration. Okay, that's a database name, right? It's actual table name, but you can say it's more or like your project name. So the database name will be synonymous. For example, what do you say if you're working in this thing? Like, tell me anything, any project for so and so, project ABC. So we can put the database name as project ABC. Okay. And let it open on name database. Every database has database name, right? So that's a logical file name equals, you put single quote and logical file name, comma, file name. File name is any OS name, OS file name, comma, size. So this is just to know, that's all. You don't have to create a database, just for the information and specifying. And what is the size of database in megabytes or gigabytes? Okay, mostly it will be gigabytes, I guess. And max size, in gigabytes or terabytes, depending upon the project size, and file growth. Okay, so this is it. GBs. So when I say, okay, so don't worry, the apostrophe is just for the plural sentence. It's not single quote. Okay, so then log on name equals to so and so, put here, and that's the create command. So using this command, the database administrator creates the database. So this is just one time only job, so no need to worry about this. So I'll just quickly explain what are the different annotations mean. So this bracket means it's a optional parameter, so you can just create database, and database name would still create the database. So this, it does not have to mention the DBA guy. So these are square bracket represent that these parameters mentioned inside are optional. Okay, so they don't have to mention this. Angular brackets means user defined values, so you have to replace this logical file name by your own name. Okay, yeah, ABC 123 whatever appropriately. And the file name argument is used to store the full path of the file where it has to be created on the server. And the name argument is used to specify duplicate name for the physical file, logical name. Okay, so examples, you can take anything. Examples like if I just create database and db1, okay, that's a database name. It will create a database called db1 with a default primary file and log file. Okay, so primary file and log file, secondary file is optional, like I said. So that's it, you don't have to mention anything. So the simple command will be create database or create new database, and you can mention all these things. Okay, and mention the whole path. So since we are not going to the details, I will just jump to the tables, because tables are the primary components within the database, right? What is a table? A table is a database object which contains a set of rows and columns, right? So table is nothing but a columns and rows. Okay, it's going blank. Can everyone see? Let me see quickly. What's going on? So 154 MB. I had to clean up my system. Temporary folder is okay. It's not getting heavy. Document is, yeah, this is where I'm storing these files. Downloads. Okay, let me delete the big file. SoapUI, yesterday I downloaded. I will show you the SoapUI later. Okay, so I think it leaves some space. 56. Okay, at least we finished the class. Okay, hopefully it will be on my system. So what is a table? A table is a database object which contains a set of rows and columns. That's the main components of the database table, right? And it is only for storing and retrieving the data, right? The table will contain the data for two purposes: storage purpose and retrieval purpose, right? And there are, like I said, there are system tables and user defined tables. Apart from that, there will be temporary tables too. So mainly we will be dealing with the user tables, user defined tables. Okay, so system tables will be loaded automatically into the database after the installation. So there is nothing we can do about it. So it's automatic, and any user can use those tables, and they will store the system level information only, like system objects, system users, and all the data related to that. And user tables will be created by the user. So when we create table, we will know about this, and they will be created in a particular table. User tables will be created in a particular database, and if any other user wants to access these tables, they have to get a corresponding permission from the DBA. Okay, so the permissions are all set by the DBA guy, and while performing operations, any operation, simple or complex operation, and the results are stored in a buffer. First of all, temporary storage space, that's what we call as buffer, and the program create these temporary tables. They will be identified by hash symbol, hash mark, so that means they are the temporary tables. Okay, so now without going much into those details, let's see how do we create a table. We have seen create a database, which is not our job. Creating a table is also not our job, but just to know. So like even creating a database needs two things: name of the database and details. Likewise, we need to mention name of the table and details of the table. Details in the sense columns, basically columns. You have to mention what columns you want to incorporate in the table, that's all, and which will contain columns, not just columns. What are the columns? Data types, right, and their sizes, etc., etc. And the max number of characters that can be allowed in the table is 255, including spaces. So whenever you mention the table name, you have to keep in mind that the max size is 255 characters, and the maximum of 1,024 columns can be created in a single table. Okay, so we don't go beyond this normally, but just good to know. Max chars in table name is 255 chars, and yeah, max columns that can be inserted in any table is 1,024. And max size of the data that can be allowed to recorded in a single record is 8060 bytes. Table is 8060 byte. Okay, so the more number of databases that can create in a single server is 32,000 so and so, and max number of files is 32,000 so and so, and data file or a log file can have 16 terabytes maximum. And these are the details which are good for the DBA, so I'm just stating this, not documenting. And how do you create the table? Okay, so let's, before going to that, I will show some help commands. So after opening, if at all you have the command prompt, then you can type some help commands. sp_help db and database name. This will display the total structure of the database. Okay, so and sp_help will display the total tables. This will display total structure of DB, and sp_help will display total tables, and sp_help table name will display the structure of the tables. Okay, and you can comment using double hyphen. So this is single line comment, and like in Java you can also multi-line comment using star and blah 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 and star. This will, you can comment the multi-lines, more than one line, multi-line comment. Okay, so without wasting any more time, let's see the create table syntax. So syntax for which is create. I'm just mentioning in the capital so that it's not mandatory to mention capital, just to highlight it. And table name. Okay. And you mention the details. So these, whenever I mention these in the parentheses, those are mandatory. Whenever I mention something in the square brackets, those are optional. Okay. And whenever I mention something in the angular brackets, those are like user defined data. You have to mention the actual name instead of just table name. Okay. And every table has columns. So column 1, and that is associated with the data type. You have to mention, like, is it a varchar or char or a number? You have to, accordingly, you have to mention data type. And optional is size. So that's why I'm putting and you can also mention the constraints. Is it not null, or is it default? Pipe is for or, and constant expression. So this is like complete structure, and identity, and optional is speed, increment, and this goes on for the column 2 also, like then column 2, and you can repeat the same thing. So whatever is in the square brackets are optional. So minimum you have to mention column name and data type. That's all is required, and remaining everything else is optional. And column is a unit, this least unit in the table, and in this particular case, if you mention not null, this will not allow null values, and default will be like constant value provided in this operation will be used as a column data. If the user is not entering any data, then at the time of insertion, so example, okay, example will be more easy to understand. Create table. Let's say I'm creating a table for registration, and this has username, right? Or let's say okay, let's create instead of this, let's create a create table called class, and because I want to take an ID, and it will have class ID, which is an integer, and which is mandatory. So that means it should be not null. And name of the class, and it is a characters of max 10 size. And that's the second column. Third column is size of the class. So when I say size, it's actually column name, and it's an integer, and I can set it to default 20. Okay, so that will create a simple table called class with 3 columns class ID, name, and size. Okay, so we will see if anybody has the database installation done on their system. Let me know so that we can actually work on it. Otherwise, I have to install. Anybody has the database already installed?
I have SQL.
Okay, so let's use the SQL. And one more example is create table student. Okay, so you can use the same examples. So we will use your is it BOM key? Oh, oops, 1 second. If I touch anything, it will go. Who is speaking? Okay, never mind. I mean, we will use at the end of it just to see, and we in the next class will continue anyway. Before I in 10 minutes I will finish. And this will have student ID, integer, let's say, and so what should be the you can set not null if you want, and student name character 10, var character 10. Okay, so likewise you can create. In the next class we will use whoever has the database, and we will see practically. And you can also modify the table structure. If you already created the table and you want to modify its structure by adding more columns. For example, say I already created a table called class and class ID, name, size. I want to insert one more column, let's say class type, right? What is Java class or .NET class or manual testing class or automation class. So I want to mention, I forgot. So you can always modify it later. So modifying table structure after creating. So using alter command, alter table name, and then add, if you want to add the column name, let's say 5, which is forgotten, so you can add the column name, and its data type, and you can mention all these columns, add column name 6, data type, and blah blah blah, or alter column specification. You can also alter the column specification. And you can also drop column name. Okay, so what all you can do after creating a table, if you want to modify its structure in the sense its column, by adding more columns. If I want to alter columns data type, integer to char, or if I want to remove it completely, that means drop, I can also drop a column. So add column, change the columns structure, and delete the column or drop the column. Okay, so this syntax is used for only those operations: add, modify, delete the columns in the database table once you create. Okay, and examples for altering. Okay, these are not database testing activities at all, so just keep in mind, it's not very important, but just nice to know. Okay, now how do you add the columns for a table which is already been created? Why it is going blank every time? So don't worry, we'll end this session. alter table student add age int. Okay, so that's one example. Alter table student add serial number is missed, integer identity. So if you want to modify column, alter table, I am writing table student, alter column, I want to alter column age from integer to char 10, so then I can do so. I mean, just an example, it's not realistic. So alter table student, alter column student name to integer. Okay, so this, so if you provide wrong data, and obviously it will throw error, like it can't hold that particular data type. And you can also delete, alter table student, I want to delete or drop column age, so you can do so by running this command. Okay, so these are about DDL. Then DML is mainly important, so we will switch to DML quickly. Hopefully next class I'll just give an introduction and leave the class for you to lab session. Okay, I think it's totally out of resources, my computer. Okay, so I think it's 5 minutes, right? So DML is known as data manipulation language, right? Which is used to run what commands? Select, insert, update, and delete. Okay, so these are the main commands that we are going to use to operate within the data of the table, and all these commands will affect only the table data, not the structure of the object. So structure of the object will be altered by using alter command, right? So this will only touch the data of the table. Okay, it will not be used to alter the structure of the object at any cost. So these are very safe, and database administrator can view these. And syntax will be select, you select a column name or column list, right? Or star for all columns. So, or when I say star pipe, you either mention this or that on the left side or right side, right? So either star means all columns, or you can mention select serial number, comma, student name, comma, class name, if I want only those 3 columns, or you can mention star. So, and from table name, that's it. So normally it should be ended by semicolon, but you can preset in the database, whichever you have, SQL Server or MySQL, you can preset not to have automatically it will insert. So some cases. So examples will be, anyone examples? Select star from class. Okay, so normally table names will be capital letter initially. So class, so this will display what? Displays entire table data of class table, right? So including all columns will be displayed with all the data. If it has 5 columns, let's say class ID, class name, class size, class location, class that, okay, and it has 100 rows records, right? And it will display all the 100 records with all the 5 columns. And select only few columns like class ID, class name, from class. This will display only 2 columns, but all the rows. Okay, so I'm mentioning the comment double hyphen just to indicate what it will do. Particular column data. And third example, I can take select. If I want to know the number of records in the table without knowing the data of the table, the command would be count star from class. So this will display what? The number of records in the table. And one more example, select. I want to avoid the duplicate. So duplicates avoidance
distinct.
Right, yeah, distinct size from class. So this will display what? The column data by representing each value only once. That means no duplicates. Okay, so this is how we run the query for selecting, or this is also called normally we call data retrieval language DRL, but normally it comes under DML only. So select is the most important query as far as the database testing is concerned, or database automation testing is concerned. Okay, so we will see these examples on whoever has the database installed on their system, or I will try to do it on my system also because it's going out of space, and we will continue this in the next session. Just be ready with the database in case my database installation doesn't work, and we can use yours to practically see. And we'll continue with other databases, and we'll continue later on with the web services testing, which is also part of manual testing, which includes SoapUI and REST API. Okay guys, so it's already 12 o'clock for you. You can continue with the lab session with Russell. Okay. So Russell, you can.
Yes, thank you, Sangam. Can you make me presenter?
Okay, I'll make you the presenter.
Thank you, Sangam.
You're welcome, Russell. I am making you. Yeah, I made you the presenter.
Can you guys see my screen? It's not coming yet. Good. You can see, right? Yeah. Now you can see, right? Okay. Okay, let's get started. So today class, I'll try to do on test case development. So we'll go by step how can we create a test cases with different types of application. So before writing a test cases, we need to know what is test case. Test case is simple term refer to the document which specifies input, precondition, set of execution steps, expected result. A good test case in the one which is affecting and finding defects, also cover most of the scenarios combination on the system under test. So what does mean? What does its meaning is like is test case should be one condition at a time we can test. Test case could not write down multiple functionality testing. So even when we write down a test case, we have the application. is based on like a web application or a desktop application or a mobile application. We know already like when we using it, it has different features and functionality. And then based on the functionality, we need to write down the test cases. So we need to understand first the functionality. So the details is before writing a test case, it is important to have a detailed knowledge about the system which you are testing. It can be any application or website or any software. So why? Because its behavior is different. Suppose like on mobile application, it has a lot of finger movements is there, and then all are is task based, right? But web application, we are not using that much. Definitely, it has the all other fields. So we know everything is in the web application. We are focusing right now web application. So web application is nothing but all our input box, and input box means where we can enter any kinds of data. So as an example, if I say, so you can open any web page or any application, so create a account or anything. What happens is it has a username and password, right? Like Pizza Hut. So if I go to Pizza Hut, and then what happens is, just go here, and then if you click join, and then you see here they have a account, create account application. So here is, we need an email address. This is the text box, so we need to enter. Suppose I'm putting here and then I'm doing something wrong, and then I put this triple at the rate, it should not be valid. Then when I go to the next one, did you see? Oh, please enter a valid email address. So that's mean validation is feature level, it's field level. So when we go to move one field to another field, immediately it is checking it is valid or invalid. Why it is invalid? Because I put 3 at the rate, but email address should have 1. So it could be not 1 at the rate, but no dot. Maybe user forgot, right? If a user forgot to enter a dot key, and then when you move again, it is throwing error because it's validating. So that validation is when we write down the test cases. This is our expectation with invalid email address. What is pop-up should be open, and then error header is there, and then what is the message? Please enter a valid email address, and then button should be red color, and then okay is the foreground text. So background color is red. So this is the pop-up window came, and then sometimes all application is not behave the same. Sometimes I will show you. Sometimes there is on the level on the form page, it's showing the error. So those things we need to find out when we write down the test cases is valid or invalid. Or if you are enter empty, then it should give you the message to the user, oh, you are doing something wrong, which one is not expected. But as a tester, how how we create? Suppose like if I told you, okay, test this page, how you gonna test? Based on the user is user should know like on the text level what is the field it does. They have a header, right? So here they also give you the text, or you at the rate example.com. This is the example of email address. And password, we have what is the requirement? It is saying minimum 6 characters and case sensitive. So it is not showing here what is the maximum, right? User doesn't know. So if you are writing here, I don't know how many it will take. It is 30, it is a 40, or it is 100 or 200, we don't know. So in that case, we need to get the clear picture from the business requirement document what is saying. If it is not specified, then on the meeting you need to be asked your developer or your manager. So okay, we know this is the minimum 6 characters, but what is the maximum level? So it is called boundary value analysis. You already knows. If you don't know, then definitely, and it is saying case sensitive. So uppercase and lowercase we can use it, but we don't know what is the special characters. It doesn't say anything. Might be where it is not required here, right? So definitely that also we need to test, right? It is taking or not, it is throwing error, or it is fine. So all one field, we have different test data. Test data is key here, is important to verify this field. This is a feature level on the password field only. So what is the what is the input we have required is minimum 6 characters. So you need to enter it as a what, and enter it as a 5 characters. So if I put 5 characters, and then when we go here, definitely you'll give you the error message. So somewhere it's confirmation. So this is also confirmed. So I'm trying to saying here, all fields, suppose first name, so name should be all are characters, no name should be 1 2 3, right? Because if it is taking, then it is a issues, right? And then last name the same, and then phone number always is number. Phone number should not take any alphabet characters or special characters, right? Extension is the same. So here we see zip code is only number. Here all behave is depends on what types of data field is. So based on that, we need to write down the test cases. Case sensitive means uppercase and lowercase. Suppose when you write down the password, suppose Russell is capital, R is capital, and all are smaller. And then when you enter password, you are entering all are lowercase. If it is taking, that means it is not case sensitive. Whatever you like combination. So the in computer field, uppercase and lowercase has the different values. It is not the same. So when you enter it, it will put in the database, right? And then when you try to log in with the same password, if it is a case sensitive, then you cannot write down anything, whatever you entered before. Suppose if you are entering all are capital letter, but sometimes by mistake caps lock is on, right? And then you restart machine, and then you try to log in, and then that time caps lock is not on, and then you try to put the same password, but it is throwing error because it is case sensitive. That is combination of username and password. So let's get start here. So what is the steps? So the definition is here. We need to find out before writing the test cases, we need to get the detailed knowledge about the application, what types of field it is, what you are testing. It is a checkbox or the text box or a radio button or link or button. Sometimes there is a creative button. Suppose here also you see here, if you go all the way down, the create button is enabled. Sometimes a lot of application is you will see that when you fill up all fields, then create or submit button should be enabled. So that is dependency. First of all, it will be disabled. So you need to verify when you are not entering anything, it is a disabled. And then when you enter every required fields, and then it should be enabled. That need to be tested. So that depends on your steps. And then somewhere user need to know, you need to document it. What is the steps? What is the description? What is the test case name? So that we're gonna learn it. So that's why I want to give you the example like how it will be. Gather all possible positive scenarios, also odd case which might break the system. That is important. Suppose a lot of people are thinking, okay, whatever the valid, they just put it. They're not entering the other way. Suppose on the zip code field, you are entering a 5-digit number. So if you enter all zeros, it is not a valid data, but it is a 5-digit, right? So it throw error on that field level. So that is what is this? This is a negative test, right? If you are trying to enter alphabet number, it should, if it is taking that in the it should not be, because zip code number, we know it should allow only 5-digit number based on the USA. If we are developing application in other countries, maybe they might have different. Suppose like if you are going to then Canada, they have zip code is alphanumerical. So they don't have use 5-digit numerical number. They have alphanumerical digit number. So it is depends on. So not always. It depends on which area, which country's application, and then what is the functionality on that field. So because input field is very important. All our input field has lot of bar. We need to find out it is working as expected, and unexpected data when user entered and it throw the proper error message. That we need to find out. Okay, and then always try to retain in a simple language. Always write down simple language. We don't need to write down something and a lot of high unused vocabulary. If you use it, is not like understandable with the junior people or non-technical person. They cannot do that. So you need to write down the such a way that test cases, then you are, always remember you are not execute your own test case. Suppose in the team, if you have 4 people and then you are writing test cases, and then some other people will writing in test cases, when you execute, maybe you will get some other set of the test cases, some other user or tester, they have been written, and then what happens is you are asking him or her to her desk, and then, oh, can you explain what is this meaning? I'm not understanding. That should not be happen, because it is wasting time, because you already written and then they're asking for that, and then you need to explain. And then what happens is, and then the next sprint, if another user run your test case, and then they will come again. So the such a way simple word as much as you can, and then write down the which one is understandable for all, simple language. And then it is important to write down the proper steps and accurate way. So what is the steps? Steps is when end user, right? We are end users. Suppose in the bank, when we use application, we have account, and then we are using it. With the Facebook, we are using it, right? We are end user. So as a tester, our role is as an end user, even though it is not in production, but we are acting as an end user. So everything should be steps like all your mouse activities. It is important. All your mouse activities and all your keyboard action. Always remember. So always remember what is your steps. Steps will be your mouse action and keyboard action. Whatever, suppose like one application to another application. Suppose here, right? When we when you came create account from Pizza Hut, you click join. So you can enter the first steps like from Pizza Hut, click join, and then create account page should be open. And then what? Enter email address. Second steps. Third steps. Confirm password. Next steps. And then first name, last name, all is going to be ordinary steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the fields you have. All you need to mention it. And then here also from your, this is optional, right? It is also saying it is a optional. So optional, it could be, you can put it there, optional field. So you might run, you might not run. That is on your steps. You need to mention it on optional field, and then that one need to be 100%. You need to be checkbox, right? We need to terms and condition, you need to accept. So that should be checked. And then this is the robotic. It is called CAPTCHA. CAPTCHA is like, suppose this is the field, you need to click it here. This is called CAPTCHA, and then always when people are doing the automation testing, that CAPTCHA field should not be automated because it is robotic. It is not, I'm not a robotic, so that field you cannot testing by automation. So let's get started. So that's a manual cannot be automated. Sorry, CAPTCHA field could not be automated with the script or something. Automation, you cannot do that. So it should be manual. So CAPTCHA, or sometimes they have a the image, right? They have an image, and then you need to enter the image. That image field also you cannot do automate. And this is the test case template. The test case template could be different, but this is the minimum or standard template. I would say it's look like, first it should be a test case ID, and then test case ID will be it has some name convention. I would say suppose like when you're writing something, that test case, if you are entering or if you are using your Excel sheet on your company, then you need to enter manually. But if you are using QC or ALM, HPALM, or Rally, this is the different application who are it is a repository of all test cases. So that time you don't need to enter a manual because they will generate automatically. The application will generate the ID. But if you are using Excel sheet, then definitely you need to enter the ID. It is not that tough, but if you have a big application, then I would say start with TC and put the function name. Function name means function keyword. Suppose like you are creating create account, right? You can put test case. Yeah. So because they have a test scenario and test cases, so when you see the test TC, then they will understand the ID is about the test case. And then if you put 001 or 1001, whatever it is from beginning, or TC1, TC2, TC3, it is fine also. It is depends on how they follow. If you are starting with your beginning from the from the application, or on your project, you are just started, and then you can start with. But if you are if they have already written lot of test cases, you just follow their process, like how they writing the test cases ID. So suppose if you are manually standard wise, you can start with TC and then put as a function name, suppose create account, right? Pizza Hut create account. So you can put CR ACC CR ACC 001. Then you will know that all test cases will be create account. So this is up to you. It is not nobody no. If you are putting TC001, it is also right. It is nobody saying, oh, it is. But at least if you are following standard, then everybody will know, oh, okay. And the next time if you are running, and then if you have the test case ID, they will, and then you will understand, oh, this test case about what? Oh, about the create account, or payment. So you can put PYMT. You can put it like a TC PYMT and then follow the number. Don't follow the number means test case create account, you have 20 test cases, and then you are just TC CRTYP, and then 020 you have. Then after that, if you have a payment option, then you can go with TC PYMT 21 021. So exactly. And then test case name is important. Test case name should be like regular language, and then it should be one thing. Suppose like verify email address, create account, right? Create account page. So you can write okay, yeah, it is a feature level, right? Feature level, you can write down verify. So always start with verify or create, or check, or checking. So verify and checking is standard. So verify and checking, you can start with any keyword to write down the test cases. So if you are writing the test cases based on this application, and then you can put it, okay, verify, create account, email address field, create account page, email account field, email field, and then the password field is the second test case. You can write down create account, verify, create account page, password field. So when you read the text, I'm not saying like it should be like that. You can put it, okay, verify password field. You can put enter. You can write down that name as well. So, but based on your name, it will tell you what you are testing.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So let's say about you are showing sign up page.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go to sign up?
Yes.
So let's say about there is like some field, email password, phone password. So we have to write down the test case for every password, or in a one test case we could elaborate everything.
Yes, the second one is right, because we are not write down the test cases. Always remember, we are not write down the test cases based on the data. We write down the test cases based on the type. So suppose invalid password, it could be 1,000 combination, right? All combination it's not possible to test it, but at least we need to some set of data about the password to find out it is working as expected. Maybe some hidden, suppose I told you here there is no a maximum limit is there, right? Not mentioning here. So we need to find out, or business people, when we have a daily scrum meeting, and then that time you should ask your team, then okay, in that case we put it minimum characters, but user doesn't know what is the maximum. So should we put it there, or we have the maximum? Suppose they're not mentioning here, maybe they allow only 30 characters. 30 characters. After 30 characters, it will not allowing to entering the data. Okay, so here's the good question is, always remember, you cannot put the email the test cases about the data about the data. It should be data type. So you can write down the test cases valid and invalid. Two test cases you can write down, valid and invalid, but not for all. Okay, capital letter and case sensitive, it should be 1,000 combination. You can write down like that way. Valid email address, invalid email address. So invalid email address could be 1,000 combination. You don't need to write down all 1,000 and wasting time. The main things you need to understand, like minimum, if you are entering not at, or instead of at the rate, you are entering number sign or hashtag sign, you know already, right? Hashtag sign is by mistake. So if it is taking, then it is a problem. So it's through the error message. So that's why we need to write down the all test cases. Well, we will go through just this is the templates, like test case ID, test case name, and then what is the description. Description sometimes not for the feature level, sometimes description we entering for end-to-end test case, or which one is you are you put some name, but it is not that much information, user doesn't have it, so you put more information in the description. It is not required, it is optional. Okay, but test case name is required, test case ID is required, and then precondition is also optional. So precondition is like, what is the precondition? Precondition is, suppose like on this page, can anyone tell me what is the precondition on this page, on Pizza Hut create account? Anyone? Precondition means before access this page you need something.
We have to know the URL, and we have to know the
you don't need to sign in, because you are creating.
IP address.
Yeah, that could be, yes. and join link should be working, right? When you click from the Pizza Hut, do you remember previously, like from Pizza Hut we click join on the right side? If you go, just minimize this. Sometimes you can see after towards to the heart rewards on the right side. So do you see that? So the precondition is like, suppose Pizza Hut should be up working. The home page should be work, right? And then from home page, the join link should be work, because this create account. So that in that case, you can say precondition create account page should be available. If create account page is not available, then how you gonna test it, right? That is your minimum requirement. Suppose you can say also Pizza Hut should be definitely Pizza Hut should be up, or it should work, and then join link should work, and then after joining, create account page is available. So when we are testing this page, definitely this page should be available. Otherwise, we cannot test it. So that one is on your precondition. Suppose like there's another example. Suppose on email address, right? Email in Gmail. So in Gmail, I would say, okay, can you verify send functionality? So send functionality, what is the precondition? User should able to log in successful, right? And then when you click compose, then the pop-up will come, the send email pop-up, right? And then you can put another thing is, what is the precondition again? Another precondition should be, the second precondition is user information send and to email address user data, right? Testing data should be available. You don't know where whom to whom you are sending. Yeah, from your address to sender email address should be available, right? If you don't have that email address, then how you gonna send it? That is a precondition. In the meantime, if you are sign out application, sign out functionality, if you are testing, sign out functionality should be what? Precondition. Can you tell? Login should be successful.
First login, yeah.
Definitely, right? Without login, you should not see sign out. No application will display sign out link without login. Right or wrong? Even though Facebook, if you go, you cannot see on the corner, there is the sign out button is there. Or the first you need to log in. So login is your precondition. You cannot write down why we are putting precondition, because precondition will take you lot of redundancy. Take out the redundancy. Suppose like if you're saying what is look like for email address. Enter a Gmail URL, enter email address, enter password, click login button. Then email main page will pop up. Then from there, there's the 4 steps or 5 steps. Compose, you click, right? And then if for the sign out, then you can go to the sign out. So every functionality, sending or compose or log out or sign out, every time you are repeating first steps, entering the email address, enter the Gmail URL, email address, password, and then click login. So all 3 or 4 steps is repeating for all test cases, right? So in that case, we are try to avoid the repetition. That we put it in a precondition. And then here, so execution steps or steps you can write down. Only steps is fine, or execution steps, the header I'm talking about, the column header, you can write down steps. Yeah, a lot of places they use steps only, it is also fine. So I'm saying, if you are going to work and then you need to create a template, then you need to understand. Suppose if you are working middle of the project, and then they have already their templates. Sometimes a lot of companies, they have their own templates. You just follow. Nothing is matching with that. Nothing means like they have an ID, they have a test case name, maybe they don't have a description, they don't have precondition, they have steps. But you are getting familiar. Maybe they have some other columns like written by user, like tester. Suppose we are 4 tester here, and then written by, they are putting the name, and then they knows for this test case written by whom. If anything is problem, and then they will contact with that person. And then suppose like you can put as a date, the creation date.
We are middle. So then we can see the header in the middle.
Where is the middle?
If we go to the, we are typing something or making something in that, and we are.
We are talking about the template. Template means this is the Excel header, all Excel header. That is, this is your C, A, B, C, C, D. This is the column. All are putting in the column. This is Excel sheet. So this is, we are talking about the steps. The steps means here is blank, 1, 2, 3, 4. Suppose when we are writing a test cases for Pizza Hut, right? And then here the test case is create account, email address validation, verify, right, or checking. And then precondition is Pizza Hut page, create account page should be available. And then first steps is what? Not login. First step is click, the page should be there. Then first step is on email field, you enter some email address. That is your steps, because in precondition you already told create account is there. If you are saying again on your first steps, enter Pizza Hut URL, then second step click join, then third step click email field, and then fourth step enter valid email address. That could be, but you already put in the precondition the account page should be available. That's mean already enter URL, enter or click join link, that already mention it by, you got it. And then what is the expected result? So expected result is user should able to enter email address. When you are writing, you should able to enter. This is expected, right? So you are clicking there. If you are writing something, maybe it's disabled. If it is disabled, then it should not allow you to writing the email address. So this is it is called feature level. But functional level, what is the function? Here is the function is create account. When we write down all fields and then click create account, all the way bottom, right here, this is email address, password, your information, first name, last name, zip code, phone number, and then terms and condition. I'm not robot, captcha, you click and then you hit create account. This is our functionality. Create account is the functionality. That is the scenarios. You got it. Scenario, what is the scenario? Scenario is the function. What function we are testing? Suppose let's login. Login is the functionality, but it has a username and password and click sign in button. There's the three steps we need, right? But the functionality is login. So, but the feature is different. So depends on, suppose you have a submit the form. It could be 5 fields, it could be 15 fields or 20 fields. Some are that is the field level.
Like email address.
Feature level is field level. What's the individual component, individual elements we are testing. That one is all together, and then when it is all together come, then suppose like create account functionality, you cannot test without without entering all required fields. It will not create successfully.
What about this create account?
It is called the function.
Function, and the other step was
Because here we are creating, whichever is creating, this is the function. Suppose like on email address, if you are creating email address, that's the functionality. But here we are not creating the email address. We have existing email address, we are entering here. We are not creating here, right? We are not creating our we are just creating our password, not the email address. We are not entering our phone number. It should be valid phone number, right? If you put invalid phone number, it's fine, but we can find out the zip code should be address related. So all are feature level. That's mean field level, but functionality should be there. Suppose like sign out functionality. This is the one functionality you are doing. Login is a functionality. Send email send email is a functionality. Or suppose you are attaching some documents, that is attachment functionality. So you are doing something new. If you are not creating, that is not your function.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So let's say about phone number field.
Yes.
In US, we can put 10 number. So how are we gonna check boundary validation?
Boundary validation should be always the boundary values is 1 minus 1 plus.
I understand. Like let's say we are writing test cases for this page, for sign up page.
Yes.
So and there is like some other fields too. So there is a password field, there is a
confirm
phone number field or zip code field. On those fields, we have to do boundary validation.
Yes.
So how are we gonna do
all fields? Not I'm saying like all input fields. You need to find out the boundary validation. Even though first name. So first name you need to.
Is it gonna be under in the test cases?
Negative test cases, right? So it's a suppose you can write down the test cases for boundary value analysis. So verify boundary value analysis for password field.
No, that was not my question. My question is we are writing a test cases for this page, like this about create account. Okay, that's a one test case.
This is a happy path for all fields, but this is one test cases for create account.
Okay, and then when we're gonna move forward to check every field, what are we gonna do?
That one is that test cases should be feature level. That's why I told test case will be two different types. One is feature level, one is functional level. So if definitely you need to write down the test cases feature level as well. Sometimes what happen is if you have a lot of complex application, and then you need to move in couple of pages, and then that time you can write down feature level end to end functional level end to end test cases. That should be all valid, right? But in the meantime, if you are put invalid data, so that functionality should not work. So it could be suppose like you have 10 fields, 6 is required, 4 is optional. So in that 6 field, if you are missing any combination, then you should not able to create or submit, because it throw error. So individual all fields you need to write down. But in that case, if you are writing a test case, is that possible to make it all combination of 10 fields? That time we cannot do that. So that's time we are assuming invalid. We need to check it individual, but we are not document it. So suppose in that case on this create account, it is possible. It has a couple of it is very unique fields. Required some fields, but there is some other fields also we can put. But create function. So create functionality should be when successfully create account, all required fields should be valid. Any invalid input should not allow you to create account. You got it. So, but in the meantime, you need to check it feature level or field level. How are you gonna test? Multiple. Here is the key is test data. If you don't have proper test data, you cannot find out lot of bugs. So we'll go through. Let's see, and then this is the templates, right? And then expected result is what we are expecting. So when you write down the test case, expected result is there. You should not enter actual result. I know one guy, he got fired when he write down this actual result and expected result he write down. So he expected that actual it should be same when it is passed, right? So he already written the actual result too, because he was new and then he doesn't know, because without execute, without your application is available or not, how you test it, is pass or fail, how you put actual result. But he did not focus on, he just put it there. So always be careful when you execute that time. And then status is what? Status is, it will be pass or fail, and then some other status. So we'll go through. And then another field is comments or remarks. Comments and remarks is sometimes suppose that one is suppose you saying here status is, you cannot put pass or fail, maybe you can put it as a block. In the comment you saying, okay, application database was down, even though page is there.
Russell, I have one question. Okay.
Yes.
You told the expected result and then actual result, and then without running, we don't to put the actual result, and then
correct.
What time we will? How do you know this URL is running or not? Because we are okay, just each and every field step by step testing. Okay, and then result. And then we don't already know this field is okay. Our name is maybe 30 character. Okay, just for example, we put to the 30 character. This one is accepted. Right now, I understand this field is pass, and then you told we didn't write down the pass field in the actual result. Why not?
When you write down the test cases, you are not always remember, we are not executing, because it is execution
because we are testing for the field, every field, each and every field. We know this one is the correct because we have a document already in my hand. I know this field is going to the character and email.
That's right. But I'm saying is, this is the document for not only the runtime, it is document for future.
Who is running after we write down the test case? Who is running the document?
Running it could be by you.
Only for automation people they are running.
Suppose like if you have a team 2, 3, or 5, or 10, or 15, anywhere. So it could be run by you, or it could be run by some other team. But the thing is,
and the running time, which software we can use it? Which software we can use it? Running time?
Running time, the same application you are using. Suppose like when we write down the test cases, and then we have only the template. Suppose this is the
no, I understand. This one is the template, and then real practical work, because we are facing some problem. That's why I need the concept is clear, because we tested each and every field. This is expected result. Okay, this is done. I understand this one. Okay, my question is only for actual result. You said one guy write down the actual result. This field is pass or fail. That time this guy is fired.
Because the application was not available that time. It was only the picture, or it was given by the development team or business requirement.
No, I am not clear. I am not clear in your concept. I am not clear. Think I am confusing, because I am as a tester. I need
Okay. If you are not understanding, I will say the other way. Let's say, suppose like your application, the this page is not available.
Why not?
Available means is this field is actually, it was not developed yet. They have a developer is working on it. Suppose like they have some other fields, or
no, you go back. No, you mixed up your concept. Developer already developed the screen, okay, and then after developing screen transfer for the tester, and then that time tester will start it for step by step for testing. Okay, that time tester write the expected result. What is the field is doing?
Yes,
this one is the expected result. You said developer doesn't finish his URL. You are wrong.
I'm saying like sometimes it could
no,
be.
Not sometimes concept. You apply this field because you can feel the perfect concept, because we are learning guy. Because you said sometimes.
So, but the concept is, listen to me. The concept is, when you write down the test case, you cannot write down actual result. That is the concept.
When we'll write down the actual result? Okay,
when it will execute.
That's why my question, when will execute?
Okay,
When?
suppose the example is you are writing test cases today on 11 or 11/18. You completed the field level creation the test cases. Suppose so it is on under the development, and then from the development URL, developer or developed, but they did not push it into the QA environment. So QA environment, when you enter, you are not getting that page. So and then suppose they are saying is this page will be available on Monday. So suppose on 19th or maybe
Okay.
on
Okay, I got it. I got your point. Because developers send the email because this URL page is not finished yet. Okay, am I right? How
yes.
do I will testing for the each and every field, because I am testing for the field. That time is the maybe this one is the right, this one is the wrong. My concept also wrong. Maybe I write down something. This one is the right, the wrong. You know, am I right? This one is
No,
a
no, no, no.
100%.
Definitely before, if you are not sure it is right or wrong, that's mean like the requirement document. We are writing the test cases. We have a template
I know
plus we have requirement document, right?
like a requirement document. We are testing. We write down the test case on until test expected result until like that this way and document it, and then URL also, and then
Yeah.
you again and again you told and then URL is not ready. Developer is not ready yet. This why
No,
this
no,
one is
not
the
development ready means they are not pushing because maybe some database related issue they are not pushing or the
my concept is my sometimes some field is defect. That time we will find out the bug or defect or error or like that. Okay, I think but whole URL is completed. That time as a tester we will start the testing. At the same time we will write down the test case on the Excel sheet.
suppose, let me tell you
And
one
at
thing.
the same time we will write down the actual result also together. This one for my concept, and then I don't know.
Okay, your concept is okay. So you whatever you're saying you can write down, but our actual thing is that test case is not for one time. This should be you know that regression test, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. This one is happening.
When you
This
have
one is
regression
happening.
test,
Some field is
what you will
problem.
new
No.
test case.
Russell, sometimes this one is a problem. This one is the bug. This one is the defect. That time we will
No,
inform
it's
the
fine. But that time you need to remove all your actual
yeah.
result. When
Yeah.
you
That time we will remove the actual result. That time we will remove the actual result, and then we will create the JIRA ticket, send the JIRA ticket for the developer. Developer is fixing. Again, I will do the testing.
always remember when you write down the test case, you are not using your actual result
Okay.
because this is the lot of things. Suppose like you are using this and then there is the application is not ready, maybe some database related issues. So all people
No. Application is ready. Application is
they're
ready,
writing
but
finish.
some field is not. Some field is defect. Application is ready. Application is ready. Some field is defect. This is the situation. Application is already ready, and then some
Yeah,
field is
already even though application is ready, you cannot write down actual result during
That time
time.
which field can I get the problem? That time maybe we didn't write only for specific situation, not each and every field. Not each
Suppose
and yeah.
yes, the concept is
Yes,
here.
yes,
So,
not every field, not every field. Some
wait,
specific situation. Yeah.
let me talk. Suppose you know the SDLC, right?
Software development life cycle. Yeah, that's why we are using
That
for the
time
waterfall model. Yes.
that time a lot of scenarios is happen is the application is not development yet, the UI is not ready. So in that case, are you waiting for your test cases for their development?
I am not waiting. This one for developer part. This one not for
No,
my
not
as a
developer
tester
part,
part.
but in the meantime they said your manager said okay, write down the test cases, so your application is
I
ready.
will write down the maybe this one test case. I will write down this one is the Davi test cases. That time I didn't write down the pass or fail, only for actual field. That time maybe it's different situation.
Not actual field and not actual result, only expected result. That
And
is,
then I will complete only for expected result until there. Only 5 or 6 column I will complete it. That time I didn't
yes.
write the actual result. This
That's
one is
why
a
I
different
told you,
situation.
whatever you said is wrong. Actual result you cannot enter, or status pass or fail you cannot enter, because it is not developed yet.
Yeah, this one is a different situation, but
That's why,
overall situation is
I
not
told
the
you,
same.
like it is depends on always when you write down the test cases, test case is ready, and then you can tell your manager, okay, our test case is ready, and then we are ready to test. And then from development team, they will push the code to QA, and then after that, when we have the team or team wise, if you have 100 test cases, and then you can execute, okay, you can multiply by 25 if you are 4. If you are at 5, then you can multiply divided by 5, and then everybody will get 20. So that 20 test cases cannot run by one day. It could be a couple of days. So
Yeah.
when you run it, then put the run date and actual result and pass or fail. That is the main keys. And then other one you will keep empty, or you can put it is not run. Then they will understand, like, okay, today we are expecting, like, this 1 week we are running 100 test cases, but how much is achieved by today? And then end of the day, you need to put the report to your manager, how many total you had, and then how many executed, and then what is the how many pass and how many fail. That time you can put the report, and then you can attach to your test cases with your status and actual result. That is the keys. You cannot put it in that time. You give them the Excel sheet and all has a actual result.
No, not that time, not that time. But my URL ready, that time I will put to the pass and fail.
Yes, not URL even. Sometimes your network, your database is corrupted. Suppose your UI is fine, you don't know.
Yeah, that time depends on the situation.
Your
And
client
then
account
what
is
is
fine,
the,
right?
yeah,
And then when
technical
you create
problem, that
it,
time we didn't write. My own way, we didn't write anything else.
exactly,
In
that is the
testing, each and every field is testing what is the correct result and negative result is coming. That time I will put to the result, actual result.
that's
Otherwise,
why.
it is not possible.
So now coming the point. So what is the argue with that? I told
No,
you.
I didn't argue. I didn't argue. But you
Actual
and
results should
me,
be
my
there.
concept is little bit conflict. That's why. I'm not arguing.
Now you understand, like defensible.
Yeah, that's why I am understanding. Yeah.
Now I'm glad to give you the proper example, or you understand.
Because you and me arguing
It is
because
not only.
other
I'm not
student
saying like
also.
it is you. It could be. It might have the question. So that's why I'm saying that need to be handled. Those you need to be clear. What is the
Yeah, that's why. Don't mind Russell. Even me arguing, maybe other student also helpful. That's why they are also clearing
definitely.
every concept.
And then always when it is pass, status will be pass when it is expected, and actual result will be same. If it is not same, then it is failed, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it is a block. There is the status is blocked. What does mean blocked? Blocked means it is expected result or actual result, we don't know, pass or fail. Because why? Because the database is down.
Yeah, database sometimes is a problem. Yeah, that time we didn't do anything else.
Yes. So that is the little more details about the test case ID. So test case ID already need to be clear, right? When you enter manually on the Excel sheet. But if you are not entering, it will handle by the software like QC or Rally. If your company is using that software, you don't need to worry about the test case ID.
Company use software.
It is depends on company to company. Company use both.
We have to write down the test case.
Yes, definitely. You need to write down the test case.
By default.
Yes, this is required field. This is by default means there is a lot of complexity. Suppose like I worked on Comcast, I worked on Wells Fargo, and then when I worked on Wells Fargo, they had a template, positive test cases and negative test cases, and then they had a template, three template. We need to follow their template and write down the test cases. But somewhere when you work on your company, and then they don't have implement any template, so at that time you can use it, any template, whatever the company is thinking. Sometimes it is it is changeable. They're saying like, okay, who run it, who execute it. If you have a more people, that time suppose here we have executed by, we don't have the field. Executed by who? So, and then when it is executed, the date is not available. If your company is saying, okay, you need to enter it, then you can enter. And then there is the important nowadays, there is environment. So, and you can put environment like on Windows 7 or Windows 10. You can put on the column that test cases, same test cases you need to run on Windows 7, and then same test cases you need to run on Windows 10. Because there is a lot of, even though in live project I'm working on Vanguard now, and then we are migrating Windows 7 to Windows 10, and then some functionality when we test on Windows 10, it is got failed. And then that time on environment columns, we put Windows 10 only. So if it is the same bug, it is constantly it is showing on Windows 7 and on Windows 10, and then we put it both. So that is
at the same time, are you testing both of them, Windows 10 and Windows 7 together, and then are you testing both of them?
No, I'm saying like individually you need to test. Definitely you needed two machine, and then, same test case you need to run on two machines, and then if it is pass, then you just put it on both. It's pass. If it is fail, then that mention it is fail, that test case, but put the environment, which environment or which operating.
This one is the huge volume work, huh? Right now, this one is the really volume work, huh? Huge. And then first you completed the Windows 7, and then again you will redo each and everything for the Windows 10.
No, yes, that time, yes, we need to rerun. That's why I say.
Yeah, that's why
I'm saying like actual result and expected result. It should be different.
And then this data is only Windows 7, and then that like this one is the Windows 10. Huh? Each and every test cases you write down the comments. Down first.
It depends on like compatibility. Suppose if you want to test it, that time you can use it. If company doesn't want it, then you don't need to use that test with the defined environment. Suppose like it could be a test by on Mac operating system as well. Company, suppose when I worked at Comcast, I remember like our application was not compatible on Windows Mac operating system, because it was showing empty page, all text, it was blank. Even the field was there, the all field was blank. So that is compatibility issues. So it happens. So don't assume like your page is there and then Windows 7 is working and then all operating system is working. In the meantime, multi-browser testing also you need to do. Suppose your Chrome browser is showing maybe IE is not supporting. IE supporting means the text got distorted or some error is showing there, and then it is not compatible. So that compatibility to check it if it is required. Sorry, it is required.
As per our knowledge, and how do you manage? Because first you'll complete the Windows 7, and then per day, how many cases are you completed, please?
Suppose like on a real example, I would say if we have 186 test cases every sprint for regression, and then 186 we are running by 4 people, and then 4 people were divided by which area we're gonna run, and then nowadays we are running in both. So it took like, suppose they have a SLA. Not SLA, suppose like they have a sprint for 3 weeks, and then testing this, they have a time frame for Windows 7 for 1 week and Windows 10 for another week. So
that's why is that you divide for the sprint, and then like that this sprint only you are finished your work.
You are doing this double working, right? So at the same time it should not finish.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, and then practical real life.
They will give you their knowledge about that, and then don't worry about if they give you more work, then definitely you need to speak up. Oh, okay, that is too much work. I cannot finish within a time frame, because that should not be done within a days or within a time frame. So definitely
they will extend the time. They will give it to more time for us.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, because that time we are need for the more time, and then our manager, they didn't do any bad action, no? That time.
Correct.
Yeah, that's because always,
always remember, most of the people are writing Yes, they are making mistake. Lot of people make mistake by naming test case name when they are writing. So always, I will give you this, and then always remember, like a simple word. You need to make it that way. And so the name of the feature you are testing, always it should be one. You cannot write down because if you write down something and which one is related to two or more fields, and then if one field is failing, then test case is failed. So now that failed one is passed, the other one is got failed, then same test case will be failed. Then they will ask you why this same ID is failing again and again, because you are on the same test case or test ID, you are actually testing multiple fields or multiple features. So that time you need to be always focus on specified with that test case name, what you are testing. Got it? So expected actual result we already told, and then status, we have multiple status like passed, failed, not tested. Suppose like this time some functionality they already removed. They removed the functionality. It is not available anymore. For the next release, they said this function is not working. So you cannot delete your regression because already is there. So that time you can put it not applicable.
You have to write down the date, like when you are checking and the status.
If they require the date, you may put it is optional.
No,
but pass or fail or status should be there.
Yeah, I know, but the thing is, we are not doing regression and testing. We're just doing regular testing.
But right now regular testing, if they are suppose like the test case is 100 test cases, you are writing who is there, how many they are trying to tracking, because team is big. So suppose you are
So we have to write down the date.
If they are required, it is company required.
So that's
it is
required by company.
Yes.
Okay,
Your manager or maybe manager want, or you lead want to put the date. That time they want to track it. Okay, how many completed by date wise. So that is the issue, nothing else. And then not tested means you can put it the status, it is not tested yet, or maybe some functional issues is there. So that time you can put it, or not applicable or blocked. Status is blocked. You can put it there. So those you need to familiar with all fields. The yes, the status is pass when it is actual and expected is matching. When it is mismatch, then it's failed. Sometimes the test case has not been executed, so them not tested. So not applicable means the feature is not available anymore. If the requirement got changed, at that time you just put it NA or not applicable, or cannot be tested. So that is also precondition is not met. Suppose like you are sending some data, sending email. So the data is not available. Suppose email address is not available. That time you are putting there not tested because of precondition is not met. Or maybe some confirmation number will be after submit, the user got confirmation number by email. The test email is the functionality is not implemented yet, but send is okay, send is fine. When you test, you got the email, but confirmation number you are not getting by email. That functionality is not implemented. That time you have test cases, but you can put it cannot be tested because it is not implemented. And then which one is blocked? Blocked means of any types of environment issue, or database down, or application access down, or network is down. Suppose this page is showing blank. When you enter the URL, page is blank. Maybe application is not accessible. Application server is down. Maybe database is up, but application server is down. Or maybe application is up, database is down. So that is the things it is blocked. So those you need to. That's why after that we will give you some example, and then you try to write down the test cases, and then review with me, and then send to email me, and then we can review it. We will correct you if we find out that should be not this way. You need to write down the other way. Then you will feel more comfortable. Got it? Yes, I will email to this on the paper. So just go through on, just give me 10 minutes. Suppose like this is the test cases for ATM machine. Okay. So ATM machine, first test cases is verify machine is accepting ATM card. So if you put your license card or some other card, which one is not bank card, right? So it should not give you any message, right? Or throw the error message, or some other card, other types of card, right? Or phone card, you can use it. Some drunk people, they use the phone card, right? Then what will happen? Something will give you the error message. You should not take it or scan and then it should return, right? You should not keep it inside. So if it is like that, so verify, and then verify machine is rejecting expired card, definitely. So how they find out? With the expired date. And then verify successful entry of pin number, definitely. So if you enter correct pin number, you should get the main page. Otherwise, if you are enter unsuccessful, verify unsuccessful operation due to enter wrong pin number 3 times. Suppose they have a on the ATM machine, they are not allowing more than 3 times. It will lock your account, or your card would be locked, right? So that is also should be handled by the test cases. You cannot write down the test cases, verify these, and then they will know which function is not working. That need to be divided by your. Nobody said, okay, this is the functionality, but when they develop, they have this functionality, right? But for your common sense, always this is the inspection things. Always we need to put our common sense and also BRD. If it is sometimes business requirement document, lot of things they are not mentioning. Now you need to find out as well. Also, if you are a good tester, you become a good tester, and then you will find out more bugs, and or also not more bugs, like a lot of defined way you can check it is working or not as expected. So this is the ATM machine. If anybody give you that, test case should be written like that way. So verify successful selection of language. Then if they have multiple language, then you should allow to select it. And then this is the one functionality, right? And then verify successful selection of account type. They have a what type? Not student account, banking side here, they have a checking and savings, right? As ATM machine, checkings and savings. So it should be selection should be there 2 types, right? So and then when you select, it should be connect with your checking account. And then how you verify, you already knows what is the expected result, but the account type should be verified. And then unsuccessful operation due to invalid account type. Suppose like you are putting you have only checkings, you don't have savings. All people doesn't have savings, right? So if you are enter and then you are selecting by wrong wise, like you don't have your savings account, but you select savings account, that should give you the information you don't have that account, right? Those things need to be handled by software. And then verify successful selection of amount due to be withdraw. So the amount selection means you should not allow to withdraw without greater than your deposit money or available money. Suppose if you have a 5,000 on your account, you should not allow to get it 6,000. Definitely it is not a valid. Maybe ATM machine, they have a restriction by 1,000, right? So suppose that withdraw amount selection, suppose you are entering 1,100 or 1,050, then it should not give you the money. It should give you the error message pop up, or you exceed the daily limit. So that is the expected result, right? So verify successful withdraw. Successful withdraw means it could be a defined combination. So $1,000 you can put 3 times or 4 times or 2 times, 1 time, right? Multiple times you can withdraw if they allow. So and then expected message due to amount is greater than their limit. So already we talked to, right? And then unsuccessful withdraw operation due to lack of money in ATM. Suppose ATM, I got one day also, it happens. I put it 500, but it is showing error message. because it is valid though. Amount is valid. Account is I have available money, but inside the ATM own machine, it doesn't have money. It had only 350 on ATM machine. So I had to choose 350 or less. So that need to be check it. This is also negative testing, right? And it's important testing as well. Nobody will say to you that could be happen this scenario. So verify expected message due to amount to withdraw is greater than possible balance. We already talked. Verify unsuccessful withdraw operation due to click cancel after insert card. So it should be come out your ATM card from your machine, right? When you hit by accidentally not okay, you hit cancel. So it could be happen. So verify unsuccessful operation due to insert card in wrong angle. So they have some magnetic bigger one, right? So ups and down, flip flop. If you enter, then card error, reading error will show, right? So that need to be handled also. So those way you need to. This is the scenarios. Like I wanted to give you the picture, like how you can start with writing a test cases with the application. This is the one software, right? ATM machine software we are all are familiar with, and then those. I'm not saying this is the perfect. Suppose like you already know, so a lot of ATM machine nowadays they are accepting what? They're accepting check, right? Scanning check, and we can deposit the check as well. So by the ATM machine. So that case is not here, right? So based on that, all ATM machine doesn't have that, but this is standard ATM machine. But if you are working in the bank and then they are developing their software and then you are working on, and then you need to write down the test cases for that application or that feature as well, right? So these the things we are coming all together, and then write down the test cases, find out the application working as expected. I'm not saying this 14 will be the always it should be there, but it should be plus minus more. You got it? So yes. So we'll continue.
And then I have another question. And then part day, how many case cases we are writing as per requirement? How many is more?
It is
Standard example.
thanks for asking. It is a interview question as well. So it is depends on your functionality, right? So I could not say or as a new user on the interview, if you said, oh, I write down 5 or 7, it could be one day. I have one test cases in our company. We have 76 steps. That was
per day.
One day. No, I'm not saying one day. I'm saying that is one test cases has 76 steps. So that 76 steps not even possible to write down a one day.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Yeah.
So it is depends on your complexity, depends on functionality, depends on your application process. I would say if you are go through by create account page, maybe one day is sufficient. You can write down all test cases. If you are going through the real example I told you here, ATM machine, maybe one day is fine. But maybe the next day you had another scenarios which is a negative test, and then you come with the point, and then you say, oh, yesterday I missed that point. It should be checked that way too. So and then you can update your test cases.
It depends on the
functionality, depends on the complexity. Yes.
Complexity, and then pages, how many pages, and then we'll complete it. Yeah.
Correct,
as like example, today I will complete maybe as like a login page, and then you show the Pizza Hut pages, okay? And then and unfortunately I didn't forget any field it, and then I back my home, and then I remember, oh, I didn't complete, I didn't write down these cases.
Nobody on your neck, nobody will tell you, oh, why you are not writing all those. It is not average work, you are doing this, and then you are not feeling that, and then it happens in the company sometimes. On the whole day I am not doing anything. I could not able to execute anything. I just beside gossiping, and then another day I had like I had a very bad day, and then I'm working like a hell, and then working extra 1 hour to finish this report. So it is company to company, depends on, and then it is depends on the situation.
No, I understand. This one is a different situation. And then accidentally I didn't complete one field it. And then I back my home and then memorized, oh my goodness, I mistake this.
No, you don't need to
and
ONG.
then
And next day you can.
today I attended the meeting, and then that time they are asking what is your output for the yesterday, and then that time is any problem or right the way we'll send write down finish my test cases, and then we'll
You can
submit my
suppose like
manager,
in that
or
case,
what
in
is
that
the
scenario,
process?
in that, okay, tell me. One thing I will tell you. Suppose like today you are on ATM machine. Suppose like you are writing the test cases. You send or save it on your server or shared drive, and then you save it, and then next day you find out like, oh, you could not complete, and then there is an additional feature like for deposit the check, that test case 4 or 5 test cases again you write, and then you update, and then that's, and then you just email them. So yesterday what you did, I finished some test cases, most of them. Some feature is still is pending. I will finish it tomorrow, and then tomorrow when you finish it, and then daily status, you would tell them, okay, the remaining test cases I already written.
Today I'll complete it.
Yeah, that is the conversation. It should,
this one is the process.
not tell you the time frame. Okay, you need to finish within within that. But maybe times they will tell you on the morning time, hey, hey Russell, can you write, can you run that these 5 test cases by noon or by 1 p.m. because I need to report to my senior. So that time, wise, you need to stop your writing the test cases. You need to execute those 5 test cases and then send the report. So that is priority wise you need to work on, right?
Priority wise, we'll hurry complete this.
Yes,
finish
yes,
and
they
then
always.
submit my manager. This is the priority basis. Okay.
Yep. So we'll work on these test cases more and more, and then we'll go through. You will get familiar, and then I will give you the assignment. We'll review one by one, and then you will get more familiar. But I would say definitely you need to be started with the practice. Otherwise, it seems like it's very easy. It is not that easy too. Okay. Yeah, this is so done for today. I would say we'll see you. I'm not sure, or maybe on Thursday for database as well. I think it is on evening, but we'll confirm by email. It could be a 8 o'clock or something if we have no problem. 8 or 9. Yeah. And then every Sunday after Sangam class, we'll walk through with the test cases, because you need to practice on it. That need to be familiar to all people. We have class Tuesday, Thursday is evening time, Saturday and Sunday morning time.
Tuesday and Thursday evening. Can I have the schedule first?
Yes, we'll email you. I will tell Asad to email all guys, all people, and then you will get informed. Okay. So thank you for attending the class, and goodbye for now, and then happy study. Okay.
Thank you very much.
No problem.